A black streak or a cleansing? Who will have it the hardest in 2026? 2026 isn't a year that passes unnoticed. It's not a quiet period, a quiet one, or a time to simply wait it out. For many, it will feel as if life abruptly slammed on the brakes and then accelerated, without asking if you're ready. Some will feel as if everything is going wrong. Others will feel as if fate is testing their strength. And some will ask themselves for the first time a frightening question. What if this isn't a bad streak, but payback for the past election? But the truth is deeper and more complex. 2026 isn't a year of punishment. It's a year of cleansing. And it's this cleansing that almost always feels like loss, pain, pressure, and crisis. A bad streak is when a person falls and doesn't understand why. Cleansing is when everything unnecessary is released, even if a person isn't ready for it. And in 2026, the difference between these two states will be minimal. This is why many zodiac signs will feel that things are more difficult for them than for others. More difficult mentally. More difficult emotionally. More difficult internally. This year doesn't break things by accident. It only breaks what has long been held together by fear, habit, or self-deception. Why 2026 seems to be hard. The energy of 2026 is harsh, direct, and mercilessly honest. It doesn't tolerate illusions, double-dealing, or self-deception. Everything that has been put aside, hushed up, or hidden inside for years comes to the surface. And for the human psyche, this feels like pressure from all sides. It will be especially difficult for those who endured for a long time but didn't change anything. Lived as they should, not as they feel. Ignored their inner voice. Stayed in relationships out of fear. Held on to jobs for stability. Put off important decisions for years. 2026 seems to be saying, enough. And if a person hasn't heard this whisper before, now they will hear a scream. Aries. The collapse of impulsiveness. For Aries, 2026 will be an unexpected slowdown. Everything that was previously resolved by force, pressure, and speed no longer works. Any rush leads to mistakes. Any risk leads to losses. Any pressure leads to resistance from the world. Aries will feel as if they have lost control. Their decisions don't produce immediate results. People stop obeying. Circumstances seem to be testing. What will you do when you can't force your way through? This causes anger, irritation, and internal conflict. Outbursts of aggression, conflicts, and abrupt breakups are possible. This will be especially difficult for Aries who are used to always winning and not admitting weakness. But this is where purification begins. Aries learns to act not from ego, but from awareness. This breaks the old personality model and creates a new one stronger and more resilient. Taurus. Loss of support. For Taurus, 2026 may feel like the destruction of their familiar world. What seemed stable begins to crumble at the seams. Financial issues come to the forefront. Expenses rise, income may fluctuate, and confidence in the future weakens. The most painful thing for Taurus is instability. And this will be the main lesson of the year. The habit of holding on to the past will hinder movement forward. Situations are possible where Taurus will have to let go of what they considered their guarantee of security. Relationships built on convenience may fall apart. A job that hasn't brought you joy in a long time stops bringing in money. And you start to feel, I've been doing everything right, why is it so hard? The answer is both simple and complex because it's time to truly live, not just live comfortably. Gemini. Mental crisis. For Geminis, 2026 will be a year of overload. There's too much information. Too many people. Too many events. And clarity is dwindling. Chaos arises in your mind. Decisions are difficult. You start to feel as if your thoughts aren't your own. It will be especially difficult for Geminis who are used to living superficially, avoiding depth. 2026 literally forces you to slow down and look within. And there you'll find questions you're afraid to answer. Anxiety, emotional swings, and a feeling of being lost are possible. But this isn't a breakdown. This is the moment when Geminis stop running from themselves and begin to hear their true selves. Cancer. The past resummers. For Cancers, 2026 will be an emotional challenge. The past returns. In people, memories, situations. Old grievances, unhealed wounds, unspoken words come to light. This can feel like pain without cause. Like tears without reason. Like a longing that cannot be explained. This will be difficult for Cancers because they experience emotions more deeply than others. But this is precisely where cleansing occurs. 2026 removes emotional blocks that Cancers have carried for years. And if you allow yourself to experience this pain without running away or suppressing it, a feeling of liberation comes at the end of the year. Leo. A crisis of recognition. For Leos, 2026 could be a blow to self-esteem. The attention they've become accustomed to wanes. Approval doesn't come immediately. Sometimes it feels like you're being undervalued or overlooked. This is especially difficult for Leos, who are used to living through external recognition. Doubts arise about themselves, their path, their purpose. You may feel like everything you do is of no use to anyone. But this is where the cleansing of dependence on the opinions of others begins. Leos learn to be valuable to themselves, not to the public. And this makes them truly strong. Virgo. The collapse of control and perfectionism. For Virgos, 2026 will be a year when habitual logic no longer holds the line. Everything that could previously be calculated, organized, and controlled suddenly spirals out of control. Plans are disrupted for no apparent reason. People behave unpredictably. Systems that have been working for years are starting to fail. And this will be the most difficult test. Because for Virgos, control isn't just a habit. It's a way to feel secure. And 2026 seems to deliberately strip away this support. It feels like no matter how much effort you put in, the results don't meet expectations. Many Virgos will face burnout. A feeling of fatigue that doesn't subside even after rest. The inner question. Is there any point in trying so hard? It will be especially difficult for those accustomed to living for the result, forgetting about themselves. But 2026 won't destroy Virgos, it will teach them to trust life. They will learn to let go of idealism, embrace imperfection, and allow themselves to be a living person, not a function. And this is painful, but liberating. Libra, the moment when you can't postpone a choice. For Libras, 2026 is the year when they can no longer remain in between. Between yes and no. Between the past and the future. Between yourself and the expectations of others. The universe literally presents you with a fait accompli. Either you choose, or the choice will be made for you. This is precisely what creates the feeling of pressure. Libras may feel anxiety, doubt, and fear of making a mistake. Situations are possible where too much depends on a single decision: relationships, work, place of residence, status. This will be especially difficult for Libras accustomed to pleasing and avoiding conflict. In 2026, compromise ceases to work. Half-hearted decisions lead to a loss of energy. But it is through clear choice that Libras find balance. Yes, it will be scary. Yes, it will be painful. But only by taking a step will Libras stop depending on circumstances and begin to take control of their lives. Scorpio, deep darkness before rebirth. For Scorpios, 2026 could be one of the most difficult years in recent years. But at the same time, it will be one of the most significant. This is a period of profound transformation, when the old version of the personality literally dies to make way for the new. Abrupt endings are possible. Relationships, projects, life stages. It may seem like you're losing more than you're gaining, like fate is taking too much. But Scorpios are the only sign that knows how to navigate the darkness consciously. The challenge of the year lies in accepting the inevitable. In not clinging to what must already be gone. In relinquishing control over what cannot be held. If Scorpio resists, the pain intensifies. If they accept, a powerful transformation begins. And by the end of 2026, many Scorpios won't recognize their former selves. They will become stronger, deeper, and freer. Sagittarius. Shattering illusions and loss of guidelines. For Sagittarius, 2026 will be a year of disappointment. Not because everything is bad, but because much will turn out to be different than expected. Goals lose their meaning. Ideals cease to inspire. People you believed in may let you down. This causes an internal crisis. Sagittarius is the sign of faith, meaning, and forward movement. And when faith falters, a feeling of emptiness sets in. Apathy, loss of motivation, and a sense of having lost your way can set in. But this is precisely what cleansing is. 2026 removes false goals and imposed dreams. It forces Sagittarius to seek their true path, not the one that looks good from the outside. Capricorn. A crisis of achievement. For Capricorns, 2026 will be an internal turning point. Everything you've worked so hard for suddenly ceases to bring satisfaction. Even success may feel empty. Even recognition will bring no joy. This is a difficult moment, because Capricorns are used to measuring their worth by their results. But 2026 poses a different question. Are you happy? And there's not always an answer. Doubts about your chosen path, profession, or lifestyle are possible. You may want to change everything, but the fear of losing your status will hold you back. This year will cleanse Capricorns of a life of mere formality. It will teach you to seek not only the heights, but also the meaning of your ascent. Aquarius. A collision with reality. For Aquarians, 2026 will be a conflict between freedom and responsibility. You'll want to break free, throw off restrictions, and escape obligations. But circumstances will demand maturity, structure, and commitment. This will trigger internal resistance. It may feel like you're being forced into a box, deprived of air. This will be especially difficult for Aquarians who have long avoided serious decisions. But 2026 is a year of growing up. And if Aquarians accept responsibility, they receive stability and respect in return. If they run away, they face chaos. Pisces. Purification through pain and insight. For Pisces, 2026 will be an emotionally challenging and very subtle year. Illusions dissipate. People show their true colors. Dreams collide with reality. Pisces may feel like the world has become harsher, like there's no longer room for naivety and faith in the best. Disappointments, tears, and feelings of loneliness are possible. But this is precisely the purification. Pisces are moving beyond the roles of victim and savior. They are learning to choose themselves. And this is one of the most important steps in their lives. Why it's the hard years that change life. It's important to understand the most important thing. 2026 doesn't just break you. It only breaks what hinders growth. And if it seems like life has become more difficult, that doesn't mean you're going in the wrong direction. Very often, it means the opposite. A dark streak is when you fall and don't understand why. Purification is when you're hurting, but you begin to see the truth. And truth is the main energy of 2026.